Welcome to the training video. This training video will be in 3 parts. Each one should be no more than approximately 15 minutes. Our main goal is to share with you the reasons we do what we do and to explain how to do what we do so that we minimize mistakes, and not only minimize mistakes, have you do it better than anybody else previous to us has done it. We do genuinely want you to use your best creative efforts to quote-unquote sell the property, but we wanted to do it in the constraints of what we've learned to be very, very beneficial. So please follow the directions very, very carefully. And if you want to make suggestions, make sure you get them approved before you incorporate them into any open house. The purpose, the ultimate goal of the open house, unlike what many people think, it's not to sell the product, though that is the end result. The purpose of the open house is to create an environment to maximize the potential of an emotional attachment between the buyer and the product. After 10 years of being in this business, I'm still shocked at how often buyers tell me they fell in love with the condo the first time they saw it. So what we're trying to do is create an environment where the buyer genuinely falls in love with the condominium. So number one, we're trying to show the product in its best light. Number two, we're trying to give what we call the sales pitch in the shortest, most efficient, clear method possible. And we only want to give the sales pitch if the customer, the buyer, is actually receptive to hearing it. So we actually ask permission to speak to the buyer before we give the sales pitch. We give a secondary sales pitch inside of the model to try and stretch out the only 1 minute we have to talk to a buyer into 2 minutes. So we do a minute at the entrance and we do a second minute inside the model. And we try and engage the buyer in what we call the exit conversation. And there's many reasons for the exit conversation, and we'll go through it, but the main reasons is to overcome objections and get them back into the unit, to be open that if they're ready to buy, to write an offer, and to get permission if they're not ready to buy an offer but don't go back into the unit, for me, Yaron, to call them and quote-unquote close them, see if we can overcome any objections, get to their truth, and hopefully sell them the condo that they've just seen. So again, the ultimate goal of the purpose house is to create an interest sheet. That means that the buyer is receptive to making an offer or has some very serious questions that he wants answered before making an offer, and to get him to give us permission, for me, Yaron, to speak to them. The top 7 buyers we've identified in the marketplace today are people who just got married, divorced, had a baby or had a death, got a new job or a substantial raise, or lost a job or had a substantial loss of income or a relocation. The 7th one is a father or mother helping a child buy a condo, a child, quote unquote. We find that many 25 to 35-year-old buyers today, their parents are very, very helpful in buying. Now those are the 7 top. It doesn't take away that we treat everybody respectfully and professionally. Now I'm going to go through the open house procedures and scripts. You're going to get it in writing. It's very, very important that when you do an open house, you actually have this sheet in front of you and you're check marking the things that were done, because we don't want to have mistakes. So number one, be professionally dressed, and you must have a name tag at all times. Number two, leave your purse or bag in the car. There have been stories, you're helping one person and another person grabs the bag and walks away. It doesn't happen often. Thank God we're in very good areas of town selling one of the best products. But even with that, I don't want to leave valuables, wallets, or things like that on the table here that you're working on. Use the open and close checklist. Actually use this checklist to go down the list to make sure you don't forget one of the items. Unlock all the unsold units and turn on the lights. And here I'm going to make a note for emotional, and I'll get back to you guys. So every unit that's sold, we don't open. Every unit that isn't sold, every unit that is sold, we do not open. Every unit that's available, we open, and we turn on all the lights. The only exception is the bathroom fan that makes noise, but all the other lights in the unit gets opened all the time. Now use your smarts. If it's a cold day and the fireplace is working, turn it on. If it's a really hot day, the air conditioning is available, turn that on. If you smell paint, open the door so you get fresh air. Use your knowledge to what you're going to do with the open. take down the flyer box and store it in designated area. The flyer box is a box outside of the property that has the flyers. We don't want people to grab the flyer outside and then bypass us. We want them to need to come to us for us to give them the flyer so that we can have an interaction with them. Generally, this table, and it really is this clean with a sign-in sheet and pens, we like to have the interaction with the buyer at the entry of the property or in the elevator lobby. Our main goal is to be in a location where they can easily find us, be in a location where we can quote-unquote control the development, see who's been there, who hasn't, who's been there a long time, who hasn't been, and as importantly, be able to see people as they come out of the elevator to the first floor and see people who come in from the street. So place yourself visibly, yet in control of the open house where you see everything. Put out flags and signs. Everybody should know how to open the garage door and keep it so it stays open, and we'll give you instructions. And very, very important to say the script 15 times every open house. 5 times perfectly in front of somebody you work with or in front of the mirror. I can't stress enough how some seasoned agents think, oh, I've done this open house so many times, I know it cold, but they end up messing up the first 3 or 4 times. Just like the major football, basketball, and all other sports stars practice before every game to warm up, we need you to practice so the first interaction with that first buyer goes smoothly and you're not missing any of the points. Do's and don'ts of the open house. Try to set up in front of the building as we talked. Always facing the direction of where people are coming in. So if you're in a building where the elevator's here and the entry's there, try and be facing both so that when somebody comes out of the elevator, they're not looking at your back or that you have to turn around. Always have in your hand a notepad, pen, and a handful of flyers. And when we role play the open house, which we'll be doing soon, we're going to show you that. Never ever be on a cell phone. That is completely unacceptable. You will have Eric and my phone numbers plugged into your phone, so when we call, that's almost the only call to be taken during open houses. And in an open house, if you get a call, please step away from the area where you're meeting people. You don't want to be rude. As far as lunch and food, you know the open house times. Please eat in advance so that you don't get hungry during. Oftentimes open houses are quote unquote during the lunch period. So have a large breakfast or eat a snack before. Now, if you really want to bring a snack with you, there's no going to lunch when you're only there for 3 hours. Bring a snack with you and have a power bar or something, but again, professionally and when nobody's around. Be sure to have the best current script, and please write all comments from all buyers on the notepad so we can share it to the developer. A final thing before we actually get into the scripts. We're a big 1-minute salesperson team. There's a CD that discusses how to visualize the results you want in advance of an open house. And please take the minute. It's in your scripts how to do it. It's very important that you listen to that CD and you visualize what you want to happen before each and every open house. So I'm going to invite Victoria and Ian here, and they're actually going to show you the 3 sales opportunities we have.